This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Baruch Haba. We're continuing Mishna Berura Hashavua. We're learning Siman days in the middle of Sif Aleph. Today is the page is short. I want it to be a double header, and with your permission, I want to get together tomorrow, Friday, because you can't take a haircut, so we have more time to learn. And also, we're going to miss out on Tisha B'Av, and we'll see about the following week. I want to just revisit a case from yesterday and show you some of these pictures. Okay, how do we do this again? Share screen. Okay, so here we go. The Mechaber said it's usher to transfer Ton Shorosh and make them Shel Yad, even to take a Retzuah from the Shorosh and make it Shel Yad, because you're being married from Kedusha Chamura to Kedusha Kala. We'll see later, because most of the shame of Shakai is on the Shel Rosh. Now, let's start with a case from yesterday. The Magen Avram says in Sivkatan Gimel, Kasav Magen Avram, Dem Nifsika Retzuah Shel Yad Samach L'Kasher, if the Retzuah Shel Yad snap near the Kasher, like in diagram number, sorry, it's a little dark, but in diagram 2, well, let's see if I have the right page. Yeah, diagram 2. Let me move this. Okay, so in diagram 2, so you have a snap over here. So now what you want to do, because it's cut over here, you want to flip it around. So this way you make the knot on what used to be on the other end. So, and then the snap will be on this end. You're not able to do that. Also, lapich rosh ha'acher lamala b'makom shu chazak. It's also to turn around the other head above where it's stronger. V'lasis by hakesher shel yad b'achaticha shel by hakesher, and the part that had a knot yikshar ata lezu lamata. You're going to tie it to the bottom. The Mayrida Mikdusha, so you're downgrading it, Kiban Shahaya by Hakesher, Behayod, because it had the knot and the yod, and now you're wrapping it around the finger. Rather, what do? You cut off that piece. And if it's not so long, then basically what you're going to do is you won't wrap it around. You won't wrap it so many times around your arm. You'll do like in diagram Yud over here. So if it's not so long, you wrap it around your arm 3 times. Okay. V'chein b'shel rosh. This is what I want to focus on. Let's say the shel rosh. Im nifsak mashamak harosh. There's a snap in what goes around the circumference of your head, like in diagram 3 Aleph. Also, lafich masha b'toich hakesher. You're now to turn around what was within the knot. Shiachutz l'kesher mitam hanal. So what do you want to do? It's snapped over here. So what are you going to do? You're going to undo this knot. Okay, you're going to undo this knot, and so you see in diagram 3 bays, it's undone. Now that it's undone, now you're going to take this part away, and you're going to pull this side down, and now you're going to be good. You're now to do that, because what was once, and you can make another knot, what was once within the kesher is now going to be out of the kesher. Okay, so that I understand, right? Everybody gets that. We spoke about that yesterday. Let's say, and for this we need to go to another diagram. Which diagram? Let's see for a moment. Oh, go down. Here, like this. Okay, look where I am. Let's say it tore outside of the kesher. So the only problem is that it's not long enough. Okay? So in nifsika retzuah shorosh mi b'chutz hakesher v'roitza lemashcha ulahirida lamata You want to pull it down and bring it down. Kedei sheyeh Retzuah shlema. You want it to be shalim. So how are you going to do that? You're going to undo the kesher. You're going to, now that you undid the kesher, you're going to pull it down, 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 down. So basically what you're going to have is, so look, again, it's snapped over here, but now it's not long enough, or it's just not shalem. So what you want to do is, you're going to undo this knot. Now that you undid the knot, you're going to pull it down. So basically, over here, what used to be the kesher is going to be around the head. But this part, what used to be around the head, is going to be out of the kesher. I don't understand why this should be allowed and why this is any better than the previous case. Because you're basically, the way I see it, and I don't understand this, you're downgrading what used to be around within the kesher. Again, what used to be within the kesher is now outside of the kesher. He says, "Kadeshia Retzuah Shlema Bashir Amaramal Basim Lam Yidav." The Yachal you could bring it down. Afal Shamorid Ksasim Kedushasai. Even though you're downgrading a little the kedusha, Shari Makam Akesher Yeh Toloi Lamata, because now the place of the kesher is going to be below. Ein Zehoirada. That's not a downgrade. Because the knot is going to be on that Retzuah, on that piece of Retzuah. So what? You weren't allowed to do it by the Shel Yad, because by the Shel Yad, now instead of it being the kesher, it's going around your fingers. So I don't understand why this is okay. And then he brings a deya. In fact, it's not. Some say this is not okay because you are downgrading a little bit. I don't see the distinction. Anyone has here a clear distinction between why by the Shel Yad you cannot flip it around and turn around the part that used to make the part that was the knot go around your finger because you're downgrading. Here also, you're downgrading what used to be within the kesher, and and you're making it outside of the kesher. Okay, so I worked on this morning. I don't have a clear way to explain the distinction. But let's move on because there's something else which I'm not definitive about. Ulafi divrehem. Now, according to this opinion, hu adin b'shel yad. The same thing would be by the shel yad. Im nifsika haretzuah shel yad samach lahakesher. If the retzuah shel yad split near the knot, afilu im lo yirtza likshar lamata hachaticha shenifsika. Let's say the retzuah shel yad split near the knot. Even if you don't want to tie below that piece, even if you don't want to tie below in that area, but don't flip it around, to make the knot. Because now you're downgrading the top of the Retzuah a little bit from the Kedusha, Shahoisa Mitchila Kroiva Lakesher, that it was first near the knot. Here, let's look in this diagram over here. Let's read it here. Like in hay. So let me move everyone up to the top now. So it got split over here near the knot. Even if you don't want to tie below the cut that snap, the piece that snapped. So he says, look on diagram 340, on page 340, which is this, diagram 1. So, okay, it's snapped over here. So what exactly do you not want to do? He's saying don't flip it around. So what does it mean? Even if you don't want to do what?
Take N base and put it where Aleph is. He already said that's not good. You can't do that.
No, isn't it the same case as before?
No,
looks like the exact
same
thing.
Even if you don't want to do A, but don't take base and put it where Aleph is. So what's the even if you don't want to? Even if you don't want to do what? Something doesn't read clearly here. Even if you don't want to tie below the piece that snapped.
Could he be referring to the bottom on page 338, image 2? So the bottom one of that, he's tying the whole ripped part with the knot. He's reattaching at the end of the Retzuah. It looks like.
Mm-hmm. So okay, that's good. That diagram is actually explaining the Shita of the Chayei Adam quoted in the Bir Halacha, where the Chayei Adam says you're allowed to take the snapped part and sew it onto the bottom. Okay, that's what that diagram is. I was looking at it this morning. If I'm not mistaken, that is. Second. That's explaining the Chayei Adam. 1 second. Which page? 340.
338.
338.
Two ois hey. He says yikshar ata lezu lamata. That's what he's referring to as yikshar lamata. Is that what he means? To reattach it?
This is going to the Mishna Berura because the Mishna Berura some of the also have a Rosh Achlama.
Over here he's saying even if you didn't want to do that, even if you didn't want to reattach it, you still can't flip it around.
So when the Magen Avram said, let's go back to Mishna Berura Katan Gimel, where he quotes the Magen Avram, Kasa Magen Avram, the Nifsika Retzuah Shel Yad Samach L'Kasher, where you want to Asr Lafich Rosh Acher Lamala, the Lazar Kasher Yad, Vachatir Shavakesh Yikshar Ata Lezu Lamata. Just mean there it means to sew the makom of the kasher onto the bottom. So the problem with that is you're taking mamish the knot and you're wrapping it around your finger. You're wrapping it around your hand. So that you're not allowed to do. Not because you're taking the bottom, not because you're taking something that was close to the kasher and you're wrapping around your hand. It's because you're taking the actual kasher and you're wrapping it around. Okay. Then the Mishna Berura says Shel Rosh also. If it snaps what went around the Rosh, you can't flip it around. You can't make it go out of the kasher. Why? Because you're basically taking the kasher and you're using it for a lower purpose. However, if what snapped is out of the kasher, and then you're going to pull it down. So why? Let's try to understand. Why is that better? So you want let's okay. So yeah, I agree with you, Mendy. Thank you. In other words, in Mishna Berura of Katan Gimel, he's talking about attaching what was the kasher. You're attaching it to the Retzuah. So now let's talk about the Tefillin Shel Rosh. If it rips over here, like in what page am I on? 338. 3 Aleph, if it rips over here, and now you want to pull it down. So basically, you're taking the kesher and you're downgrading it. That's a problem. But if it ripped over here, let's talk about here. If it ripped over here. If it ripped over here, so now it's not shalem. So you're going to undo the knot, and the makom hakesher, you're going to make it lower down. So how are you allowed to do that? You're basically taking what was the kesher and you're making it lower down. Do we see clearly why this is any better? I'm still not clear why this is better. But let's read the fourth line. Hu adin b'shel yad im nifsika retzuah shel yad. It got snapped. Afilu im lo yirtza likshar lamata. Ah, okay. Now it reads based on Mendy's explanation. This reads by the tone shel yad. If the Retzuah snapped next to the kesher, even if you're not going to be attaching the knot lower down, so it's not like you're going to be using the knot to wrap around your hand, you still can't flip it. I mean, until now, we learned you can't flip it because you're basically taking the actual kesher and you're wrapping. But even not like that, now you're downgrading the top part of the Retzuah a little bit, because it originally was close to the knot. Again, I still don't understand why, if the Retzuah Shel Rosh gets snapped lower down, why there's a daya that you could just shift where everything was, but Lamaisa, you're taking what was once part of the kesher and you're putting it lower down. Okay, be it as it may, al ken yesh lahachmer, shaloi laflich kiyem b'shas hadchak. Therefore, should be machmer, not to flip around, only b'shas hadchak, she'en loy Retzuah acheres, where you don't have another strap, v'makom shenifsak hurach, in the place where it snapped, it's soft, v'chalosh, and weak, she'en roy lasses meno akshir, that it's not fit to make a knot, v'zroya, tightly, she'karvli pasek, it will be very close to snapping, oz yesh lahafel, then you could flip around. Basically, flipping around and attaching the knot is asur. Flipping around, stam, is better to avoid unless you don't have any other choice, because of this yeshoimrim, that even not just taking the makoy makesha and wrapping around your finger is a problem, but even taking something that was close to the kesha and now downgrading it so it's further from the kesha, that's a problem. So I think just to isolate what I don't understand, or why there is any difference if it snaps in the circumference around the head or if it snaps lower down. At the end of the day, if you're going to be altering anything, you're going to be taking something that was in the kesher and you're putting it out of the kesher. In other words, why is it more lenient if it snaps outside of the kesher? Yeah? That's my, I need clarification about that. 1 second. Stop share.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.